All right, we have 15 participants already, so I think we are good to start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Suricata webinar. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Juliana Fajardi, and as you might have heard, I'm part of the Suricata team. This is a special series. We are calling it the Pre-SuriCon webinar series, and that is because this year we had a record number of submissions for SuriCon talks, and we couldn't fit all of them in our live agenda. So we took advantage of the fact that some of those topics would also benefit from having a longer format, and invited the speakers to have a series of webinars with us before SuriCon. That way we also build the excitement for this year's conference, which is a big one for us as it's our 10th. If you join us in November in Madrid, you will also get the chance to speak a bit more with the speakers of the webinars, because we have invited all of them to be there with us in Madrid. And before the webinar itself, I just wanted to say a few words about OISF, because the webinars, the conference, and Suricata itself are made possible by the Open Information Security Foundation, which exists since 2009 as a US-based nonprofit organized to build community and to support open source security technologies like Suricata. Funding for our project comes from our consortium members. If you'd like to know more about us, visit the consortium members page. You can also learn how to become a member there. And if by any chance you joined us today and you don't know what Suricata is, we are network analysis and threat detection open source software, which helps you maintain your on-premise and cloud resources safe. And if any incident happens, we generate a lot of network intelligence to help you investigate such incidents. To learn more about all of our features, visit suricata.io/features. Today with us, as you know, we have Pim Sanders from Fox IT. He will be sharing 2 projects of his for Suricata rule validation automation. Those are Dierentuin and Zoo. I did practice that name. And if you have any questions, please use the Q&A session. Gail will be keeping an eye on that. And please, Pim, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Let's see if my screen share worked as well.
Thanks a lot for joining us today, by the way. Okay, we can see your screen.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you for hosting me. My name is Pim Sanders. I'm a junior security researcher at Fox IT, and I will be telling you a bit more about my what started as an internship project to automate Suricata rule validation. Great. Okay. I'm a cybersecurity student in the Netherlands, and I research at Fox IT. If you want to know more, hit me up. That's all I need to tell. Agenda for today, I will be talking about the goal of Dierentuin and Zoo, why I created it, how it works, a live demo if all goes according to plan, and afterwards there will be room for Q&A. If you do have any questions, please ask them. So the goal of Dierentuin and Zoo. Before it was created, the goal was set as develop a system or framework to continuously perform unit tests on the written detection logic for certain attack tools used by red teams and malicious actors. So we want to be able to check if the rules that are written, if they are functioning correctly. Why do we want to do this? We want to prove what we can detect and fix what we cannot detect yet. It could be, it's comparable to software testing on software development. So if you write a code, you want to know if it's working as intended, even after changes. Dierentuin and Zoo have the same kind of principle behind them. In short, Dierentuin and Zoo are Python scripts in a Docker container to test SuriCata rules against the PCAP from CloudShark in GitLab CI/CD. Oh, there goes my webcam. Okay.
If you want to close your camera to have better internet signal, that's all right.
Except
we can
you touch
hear you.
the cable, so
Oh,
just
I see.
disconnected.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So what's the difference between Dierentuin and Zoo? They're both meant to test SuriCata signatures. Dierentuin does this by using the SuriCata daemon and testing signatures individually. So it's comparable to a unit test where you test a bit of code on its own. Zoo uses SuriCata in replay mode, so it will test all the signatures that are given, on all the PCAPs that are given. That could be seen as an integration test, where you want to find out if the rules behave as it's intended, even when there are other rules which could have an influence on it. The general flow is as follows. A signature is added to a GitLab repository by a commit, or next the GitLab CI/CD pipeline is started. The newly added signature is tested by Dierentuin, by SuriCata running as daemon, and by Zoo, SuriCata running in replay mode. Once the tests are finished, the CI/CD pipeline will return those results and give the option to the user to decide if you want to merge or not. This was an important aspect because we want to be able to add signatures in a hurry, in a rush. If it needs to be in production, we should be able to add it, even if a test is failing, because you might know for sure that it's working, or you might not have a PCAP to add to it, which will fail the test. With that, the requirements for Dierentuin and Zoo are as follows. No PCAP is fail because we can't test the rule if there's no reference data. If there is at least one alert, it should pass. If there's none, it should fail. Sometimes there are multiple rules that look a lot like each other, but differ in a little bit. For example, some network has some HTTP rule. We use the get or post will be a different rule, but in the PCAP only a get request is seen or only a post request is seen. The rest of the rules are identical, so they should both pass with only one PCAP. After a rule is, as I said before, merging should always be possible, even if a test fails, and it should all be done automatically. We don't want any human interaction in this process. More in depth. After a real commit is made, the GitLab CI/CD pipeline will start running, and it will start the first stage. This stage, called get modified rules, it's a way to filter out all the newly added rules in the last commit, which is just on a CI/CD. So there's a script that uses a git diff with some prep stuff to filter on all the added rules, and this adds them to a modified rules.rule file, which is saved as an artifact. This artifact can then be used in later stages to refer back to. So now, after this stage, we have a list of all the newly added rules. Once that's done, the second stage starts. It's called test rules, and this will start Dierentuin and Zoo. For Dierentuin and Zoo to be able to run like this, they're built in Docker containers. The Docker file is based on JSON's Docker file with a few changes. First change is to configure Suricata with LuaJIT. At Fox, there are quite a few Lua rules being used. We want to be able to test those as well. So LuaJIT is needed. Next, there are some directories created for Dierentuin and Zoo to store that stuff. For example, the pcaps and logs and rules. Next, CloudShark API is added. This is needed to be able to download the reference pcaps so they can be tested, and the Python scripts are added. This is all built into a Docker image using Docker Compose, where a version can be specified to make sure everything is like production, or if you're looking forward to upgrading to the next version, you will be able to test them on any version you want. Now Dierentuin and Zoo are in the Docker container, so they can start, the worker can be started. First up is some setup stuff, reading some configs, and making sure everything is set as expected. Next, it will start collecting and filtering the rules. This is needed to be able to make sure that Dierentuin and Zoo have a rule set that has the best chance of working. For example, some rules make use of the flow bit, like this and this. For the second rule to be able to pass, the first rule needs to be in the same test suite. Otherwise, the flow bit won't be set and it will never alert. The same is for the flow bit no alert. If only the first rule will be added, the flow bit no alert needs to be removed. Otherwise, you won't get an alert and the rule will fail, even though the rule on itself does work. This is a nice example for the Suricata docs. Next, like I said before, some rules look like a lot the same. For example, these two use the method delete and put. And in this example, in the pcap, it will only be put reference, for example. We want them to both pass the test because they are identical, except for the HTTP content method. Example from the Suricata docs. By adding a metadata tag, Dierentuin and Zoo will know that if one of these rules pass the test, they will both be flagged as successful. If neither passes, they will both be flagged as failed. Same source. The same similar tag can be used to skip rules. If a rule for whatever reason doesn't fail the test, but does work in production, the metadata skip tag can be given to make sure it skips. Or if it isn't, if you aren't able to change the rule, you can also set a deny list environment variable. Now the rules are collected and matched. Next up is downloading the pcap. At Fox, we use CloudShark to host pcaps. It's an internal service, and we can use an API to download the pcaps or get information about them. So every rule should have a reference to CloudShark as the pcap ID. To download the pcap, I create a CloudShark API, the Python wrapper script to get information about pcaps and download them from CloudShark. It would look as follows. There's a CLI where you can call CloudShark with the key and a URL you want to use. And for example, info will give some info about the pcap. This is just JSON parsable by Python. You can do this with whatever you want. It's also possible to import CloudShark into a Python script, or you can get info about the pcap or download it. That would look as follows. Example in Py is a script. It will give the info and download the pcap. Afterwards, you can list it and find the pcap in the current directory, or download it to another directory, wherever you want. Now everything is set for Dierentuin and Zoo to start testing. There's a list of all the rules that need to be tested. They are matched to make sure everything is able to pass. And there's a list of all the PCAPs that need to be tested with those rules. Next, Dierentuin and Zoo can be started. The -n parameter can be given to change the mode. So here the $name variable is used to get the name of the stage of the step, and this will decide if it's Dierentuin or Zoo that should run the test. Once the test is done, PyTest will be started to retrieve the result and present those to the user. For example, this step has the name Dierentuin-7.0.1. So Dierentuin running SuriCata 7.0.1. It'll start Dierentuin and pull the correct version of the image. Once Dierentuin is started, there are two paths to take once the script is started. If the mode is set to Dierentuin, it'll start the SuriCata daemon, write the rules to a file, reload SuriCata to update the rules, add the PCAP, and lastly read the fast log. In a fast log are the alert. If the rule is alerted, it should be alerted one or so, something like that. If Zoo is started, it will write the rules to a temporary file. It will run SuriCata in replay mode, so no daemon is needed, and it will read the fast log as well. For Dierentuin, this looks as follows. The top command is just a way of starting SuriCata. There's some extra logging and the specified config. And the --Unix socket is a path to where the Unix socket will be saved. Next up, the rules will be reloaded to add them to SuriCata, and lastly, the PCAP will be added to the daemon. In the output, that would look as follows. First up, there are some rules found. I don't have any. There's laser pointer instead. And I found the rule to test. That's the same one as before. It was this rule that I got. I found this PCAP, and it finished running SuriCata. Next up, PyTest will start. And it will say, hey, I found this rule with this PCAP and this config, and this has alerted successfully, so the test is passed. For Zoo, we just need to start SuriCata in replay mode with the directory where all the PCAPs are stored, and this would look kind of the same. So it finds the rule, starts in Zoo mode. Once SuriCata is finished, PyTest is started, and this one passed as well. Yeah. Is that the Dierentuin and Zoo have finished their run? PyTest has collected the result, and it will present the pipeline result to the user. So PyTest collects the result, and GitLab CI has this nice pipeline status view, which will say, hey, this rule has failed on all versions of Dierentuin and Zoo. On the right-hand side, there's a view of which mode has been used and which version SuriCata were used. And once you open one of those modes, it will show which tests have failed and which tests have failed. Only added one rule this time. This is failed because it says it's a UDP rule while it's looking for HTTP traffic, so that won't work in this PCAP. If the test does pass, all ticks will be green and will show, hey, this test has passed because it's the TCP rule this time. I'm going way too fast. main takeaways of Dierentuin and Zoo are that development and detection engineering are have some similarities. So the testing of products you make are should be comparable as well. So we can use CI/CD to test detection signatures to make sure everything is working as expected. To prove detection is working. Signature preparation, as I've called it, is really important. If signatures aren't grouped together because of flow bits or XPath or whatever, they will fail, and this will give a incorrect view of what rules are working and which rules are not working. And this does enable further possibilities. For example, Safari is a way of running Dierentuin and Zoo on a much larger rule set, which you can leave running for many hours if you want it. This could be used as a regression test. So only once a week or once a day, run SuriCata and Zoo or Dierentuin and Zoo on every rule in the repo and make sure they're all working as expected. If there are certain changes between today and yesterday, might be something to look into. Container high or container shark is a way of retrieving new PCAPs for a certain may have changed. So an example of this is in packet has changed over the years. So detection needs to change as well. If you could automate creating PCAPs for certain services, it's easier to check if the rules are still working, and if the rules are not working as expected, you can add at least know you have to update your detection. Right now, I've mainly focused on testing if a rule triggers on a PCAP. It might also be interesting to reverse this. So do a PCAP and see which rules are triggering on it. Maybe there are rules that are way too open, which will trigger on too many cases. Or maybe you have similar rules that will trigger on the same PCAP, but while looking for different patterns. Lastly, at Fox we use GPIC to develop new rules. This is an internally created tool as well, which might make it to another SuriCon presentation. Maybe there's some integration to be done here. So if rules develop, make it easier to test them, or give GPIC some syntax highlighting kind of stuff, like a reference is required, or it will say, hey, these rules do not both trigger on the PCAP. Maybe you want to tag them or look into the PCAP to make sure they're working. There are some things to think about and maybe improve later. All right, time for the all-important live demo. Let's see if it will work.
You are brave.
You should still be able to see my screen.
Yeah, it's working.
A nice terminal. Okay, great. We will just pretend that I've added this rule to just developed this rule. It's the rule I showed before about detecting gold strike servers, where it will look for an extraneous space in the HTTP request. There is a reference to CloudShark. There's the required PCAP, so everything should work over here. Once I've added this rule locally, I can use Git to add it to the repo. Testing rules, testing point rules. Once it's added, I can commit it, edit, nice. Cobalt strike rule, and push it. Once it's pushed, it will start a new pipeline. Here you can see it's a new pipeline with the name I just added, David. This pipeline will then start looking for the changed files, and it has found one art. More one. Okay, it doesn't give any output, so it will look in the Git history, diff it, and filter out the newly added rules. This is added to the artifact, which is then to be used by the other stages. So now Dierentuin has already started. Zoo is pending, so it will start in a minute. This will start pulling the token image for Dierentuin and Zoo version 5.0.3 or any other version if specified. And it's taking a bit longer than expected.
It's fine. We have time.
Yeah. So this is like the output I showed you before. It has found the rule we added, the combo strike rule. It has this reference to Cloud Shark, which is downloaded and added to SuriCata. Once that's done, it will start by test, which will generate a .xml file, which is then to be used by GitLab CI/CD to show the test results over here. So right now, Dierentuin has finished this test, and it is passed, which could then be, I've just pushed it to commit to main right now, but if it was on a different branch, it could be used to merge it into main and run in production. For Zoo as well, yeah, this is basically the same output as found rule, started to downloaded the PCAP and started PyTest as well. Once the pipeline is finished, almost Friday for the pipeline as well. Okay, it's finished. Now all the test results will be shown over here. So if there are any differences in rule compatibility between earlier or later SuriCata versions, they will show up here as well. And if any rule does work in Zoo or in Dierentuin, the difference will be shown here as well. For example, on that is while testing this, I had a rule duplicate, so it has the same SID, which will pass in Dierentuin because it tests them individually, so the SID doesn't really matter. In Zoo, it will test them as a group, so SuriCata was not liking that there wasn't a duplicate rule, and it failed the test. So it will also find these kind of cases and filter those out. Yep. That was live demo, so it did work out quite well. Yeah, but that was already the end of my presentation. I quite underestimated the time it would take me. So thank you very much for listening and tuning in tonight. If you do have any questions, you can ask them now or save them for later and send it to me on email or connect on LinkedIn and message me about it.
Or join us in SuriCon. He'll be there.
Or join us in Madrid and ask
yeah. Then we can chat about all of that. I do have a few maybe comments you can have a shorter CI runs if you remove at least Suricata 5. I'll allow 6.
Yeah.
But 5, we are good without 5, right? For now?
Since a little bit we're good without 5. It has taken some time to, and that's also to make sure there were quite a few rules which were only tested on 5. So as a reference, I have also been using 5 to make sure the output of 5, 6, and 7 is as expected.
That's cool. That's very nice. I think sometimes we do have to work on features that might cause regressions, and I thought that this would be very useful. I do remember Jeff, for instance, from our team working closely with the ET folks to ensure that some new keywords or keyword changes would not cause regressions, and I could see possibly him using this.
Yeah.
What else that I thought, would it be possible, or did you think about using one of these tools or maybe some other for testing rule performance as well?
That wasn't really the goal for this project, but I think you could adapt it to do exactly that. Because especially Dierentuin really isolates those rules. So if you could, for instance, measure the time between adding the PCAT and getting the result, if you could do that accurately, that might be interesting data.
I see a question from Jason Kell. Do you want to read it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can you see it, Pim, or would you like me to read it to you?
Yeah, I just saw it. Okay, that's interesting. I would have to discuss that internally. But I'll definitely reach out to you. That's an interesting changes.
Could you read out loud Jason's question?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Let me get closer. There are some big changes coming with coming 8 with respect to Lua, like sandboxing and no more Lua JIT support. Either before SuriCon, reach out to me for more details, then I'll point you to the tickets. Otherwise, catch up with me at SuriCon. It refers to, let's see, this slide, where the Docker container is built with SuriCata and Lua JIT enabled, to be able to test quite a few rules. So if those changes impact that, for example, with no more Lua JIT support, that would mean there's quite some work to update some rules. So it's interesting.
One other thing that I thought about, we usually are mean to people who use FastLog, but why did you choose it? Was it because you were just interested in the alerts and that was?
Yeah, well, I was in this case just interested in if a rule would trigger, not especially on which part of the flow it would trigger, or if there was any discrepancies in that. And fastlog was is the smallest file, so it would be the fast to run in with Python. And it's the easiest way of seeing if a rule triggered or not.
Okay.
For example, in Dierentuin, there's only one rule that should trigger, maybe 2. So fastlog is the easiest way to do that, to achieve that.
Okay, we will allow it. Otherwise, just use E, folks. No
Yeah.
need to check fastlog. All right. Does anyone have any more questions? Anything? Did you catch contact info for Pim in case you want to reach out for him? I will maybe just ask you to stop sharing your screen so I can
Yep.
share a few wrapping up words. Thank you. Let me find it again. I don't have it anymore. Oh, here it is. Aha. So thank you, Pim, for this cool presentation. And it's good that you did it because now you know that you might have some rework according to Jason. Thanks everyone who joined us today. If you can come to Madrid, it will be our 10th SuriCon celebration, and that is huge for us as an open source tool to have a community-centered, user-centered conference that is so successful is an amazing thing, and that is in honor to Kel, I think. This is her baby, and she's awesome doing that. I'm looking at your image on my other screen. If you can join us, and if you have more time, we also have 3 training sessions with community member guests for 2 of them. So do check those out. Those trainings will happen on the 11th and 12th. The conference itself will also be 3 days of talks, community, and all the fun that you have in our conferences. So do check them out. If you register for SuriCon, you also receive a discount for one of the training sessions. So it's a big opportunity, and we would love to see you there to celebrate with us. If you are not part of our community yet, we have the forum for questions or announcements, and our Discord there are also a lot of questions there. So just join us there and stay tuned. In September, we have another pre-SuriCon webinar with Jose Nunez. He will be sharing a tool to analyze your eVlog events called Suricata Log. It's on September 19th. It's 2 p.m. here, UTC, but I think it will be at 4. And if you can just screen the QR code if you want to register. That's all from us.
I have one more thing. Can I say one more thing? Thank you.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Just to add on a couple of things that Juliana mentioned. If anyone on this webinar is interested in doing a webinar, would like some time with our community, please reach out to us at info@oisf.net. We'd be happy to hear what you're working on. We love new ideas, new use cases, ways to use Suricata, challenges you're having with Suricata. As you can see, members of our development team also join the webinars and help support our speakers. So please, if you're interested in doing a webinar with the community, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. And we're going to see Pim in Madrid. There was something else I was going to mention about Madrid, and now I can't remember it. Anywho, we'll see everybody in like T-minus 10 weeks. Juliana, you did a great job. Thank you very much once again for hosting our pre-SuriCon webinars. And Pim, you did a fantastic job. So when you'd like to come back and provide an update on your efforts once Suricata 8 comes out, we'd love to have you back.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Thanks, Gail, for being the co-host. It's always much easier in my experience to be into and not just one host. So I appreciate a lot you being here. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. If you want to check this again, soon it will be on our YouTube channel. And see you again in September. It is a go.